Hi, Nicola. Now, thank you for first having this chat with us. Over the years, you've been famous for your work with Wonderwoman.
Yeah.
Tell us, what it is about her that makes her such a fan favourite?
Look, I think she has been around. She's the original female superhero, and she came out of the sort of first, second wave generation feminism, and she was created as a feminist icon. But she's quite a sort of complicated character, and I feel like the people who kind of engage with that complication and engage with the agenda, she speaks really strongly for them, and so even though she's been around for a long time, she comes sort of in and out of flavour. Obviously right now she's riding a really serious wave that she hasn't probably ridden since like the 70s. And I feel like she just speaks to a particular kind of empowerment archetype that we don't really get to see anywhere else, which is incredibly powerful but incredibly compassionate. She's not quite a Buffy type, she's not a Xena type, she's not like one of the chicks from the X-Men, and she's not like the sidekick of a male character. She's her own person who is quite sort of true north in her goals and aspirations, and very little is going to distract her from doing the right thing.
Now, you mentioned the wave that she's kind of riding at the moment. It's largely because of the movie that's just come out. Have you seen that movie, and are you happy the way that they've portrayed her in comparison to your work?
Yeah, look, I was lucky enough I got to go to the film premiere in LA and be in an auditorium full of people who made the film and worked for Warner Brothers and worked for DC Comics. And so it was, 2,500 people in this room all together, just yahooing the whole way through. I've seen the movie 6 times now. I love the movie. I cry in the same 2 spots every single time.
Which 2 spots?
Just prior to her walking out onto No Man's Land, where her frustration is at its peak and she's just like, I'm not hearing no anymore, I'm doing something about it. That always gets me really sort of tight. And when she sort of recalls what she couldn't hear the first time when Steve leaves to jump on the plane.
Oh, that's fair enough. That was a really sad moment.
It's a great moment, beautifully delivered. I think the film did a beautiful job of really illustrating exactly who the character is, and I love that, even though our origin story, which came out just before the film came out, we've set our origin story in the modern day, kind of because we needed to for comics context, but for the film universe context where they can kind of clean slate everything. I love that they created the World War I context, because Wonder Woman's never been around in the World War I context. She was created in World War II, during World War II, as a sort of feminist propaganda and as World War II propaganda, hence the sort of the American flag outfit, where sort of putting her in a World War I context made her part of that sort of suffragette movement. And, it was the first time that women were sort of joining the workforce because of the war. And it was the first time that there was a mechanized war, but it was still man-to-man conflict. So it made for a really dirty version of modern warfare. And it's a perfect place to position this character who understands in theory warfare 100%, but just isn't experienced at all.
Now, we're going to sway a little bit away from Wonder Woman. Apart from Wonder Woman, because I'm assuming she'd be your favourite.
She is.
Who is your favourite DC superhero?
Look, I didn't grow up with comics. I grew up with film and TV adaptations of those comics. And so, as obvious as it might be, my favourite DC characters are Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman, because they're the ones that I grew up on. Beyond those, and I really do love those characters, they're the ones that sort of really touch my heart. beyond those obvious ones, I have a great soft spot for Nightwing because I feel like Dick Grayson is a character that kind of really finally came into his own as a legitimate, interesting, well fleshed out character in the 80s, and has kind of continued to grow ever since. And I really love Batgirl, and I really love most versions of Robin.
What about villains?
Catwoman, I think, is probably my favorite because she's really complex. She's not a clear villain. She's out for herself. She's a grifter. I kind of love the version that Anne Hathaway played in The Dark Knight Rises, because that's kind of who I think Catwoman is. Just someone who's willing to deal to get what she wants. She's quite self-serving. I like that complexity. Beyond that, I think it's hard to go past the Joker as being the most iconic version of a villain. He's so complex that he sort of creates some really interesting dynamics for anyone that he comes in contact with, not just Batman.
And lastly, do you have any advice for Australian, essentially people that want to get in the comic book industry, who are trying to break it maybe here or even in America, like young kids?
Right. Well, if you want to draw, you've just got to draw a lot. Practice makes perfect, and it's about sort of creating content. You've got to love doing the work. You have to love the writing, you have to love the characters, you have to love the drawing, you have to love drawing the backgrounds, and then you have to submit to the fact that the industry doesn't really exist in this country. There are 3 primary industries for comics. There's the Japanese industry, the American industry, and the European industry. And so you've got to decide where you would like to aim yourself, and then aim for those industries and go where they are.
Thank you very much for having a chat with us.
Thanks so much.